Right, football passers, let's talk Celtic. Has a corner been turned? Maybe not in time for the title this season, but the rivalry is eternal, and maybe Celtic are just starting to find their path again. Let's bring in two former legends, well, not former legends, former managers, current legends in Gordon Strachan and John Barnes. Johnny, have they turned a corner?
Well, if you keep turning too many corners, you get back to where you begin. So I don't like talking about turning corners. However, I didn't have any fear that Celtic would all of a sudden start to win football matches regularly in the league. Unfortunately, Rangers are so far ahead, it's going to be difficult to catch them up. So when you say turn a corner, I was never worried about Celtic, finishing third or fourth or losing more matches. It just got to the stage whereby, unfortunately, we're so far behind Rangers that I don't think we're able to catch them. But so if you ask me if they've turned the corner in terms of them going to be winning matches regularly, the answer to that is yes. But I don't think that's enough to obviously win the league.
Yeah. 4 wins on the spin, Gordon. Came from behind, obviously, at the weekend to beat St Johnstone. Edouard, obviously an important player for them with the 2 goals. Did you see better things from Neil's team at the moment?
Yeah, I can see a lot better performances as well. Because I see them against St Mirren, and they weren't convincing. The first half, there was the problem with the pitch. The pitch was getting frosty, and Celtic would try and play through. So that was a problem for them. They didn't really get comfortable till the 80th minute, I thought. They were the better team throughout, which they should be, because they've got far better players. So when managers with far better players say, well, like Liverpool versus Sheffield United, say, well, we had more of the game and we had more. Well, you should do, because you're spending far more than me. So that's obvious. So, and I actually think yesterday they played a bit better. They've changed in the last couple of games. And I still think Celtic are better when they play, and it's no modern day football. Some clubs do it with 2 strikers. I think Edouard definitely needs somebody up beside him or more people round about him, so he can come off. And I'm trying to explain to anybody that he's basically a Bergkamp rather than Ian Wright. Bergkamp was the best with Ian Wright playing with him, or Terry Henry in front of him. So that's what he needs. So Celtic need to find out. If you look at their systems over the last year, the best period last year was when Edouard and Griffiths played together. They had a period about 2.5 months where they won every game and Rangers went into a slump. That's how they won the league. And this year, it's not happened for various reasons that they've not had to play. Griffiths and Edouard can't play together. And I know for a fact that Edouard likes playing with a other striker. But over the last 4 games, they went to a kind of diamond in midfield, so they can play with 2 strikers. Or 2 people up front as such. So that's been more beneficial to them. And you actually look at the Rangers game, where they were the better team when they got beat 1-0 from a corner kick, that they played the diamond there again in midfield with 2 strikers. And people say, well, you can't play a diamond because Rangers fullbacks will get out. But because Celtic played so well in that 4 against their 3 in the middle of the park, and Edouard dropping in, they had the ball, and they could go out wide to the fullbacks, Celtic fullbacks. And if you look at the game, the Celtic fullbacks were up in the 18-yard box far more than the 2 terrific players of Tavernier and Barisic. So it's amazing that I think Celtic has to look at what are we best at doing. And I think somehow playing a system that has somebody roundabout, or even 2 roundabout Edouard, and you get the best of Edouard. As I said to you, and it's very hard at the moment. You're quite... in English football, when I look at Liverpool surface, other surface, it's good. The surface is, and I think that's why Rangers have kind of dropped off a wee bit in terms of their performance level. They keep winning, but the surface is allowing teams to get a bit closer to them. Because we all know that the days that John played, when we used to go and play people in a cup tie away somewhere on horrible pitches, that's when you go your shock results in the FA Cup. And it's a bit like that in Scotland just now. It's a bit closer because the surfaces are making up. If you looked at Celtic yesterday, the number of times they went to pass and it comes shooting off the foot and went miles away is because...
I was going to say that the pitch yesterday was incredible. It was like being back in the 80s. That Celtic, the pitch Celtic played on.
That's like you could see players passing the ball and go, whoa, where's that going? And I think unless you've been a player on that surface, because somebody go, oh, that's terrible passing. Unless you've been on a surface like that, then, matter of fact, that's why I think Rogic is actually playing very well. Just if you looked at his ability in the last 2 games, because it's surface, he's using his power to hold people off. So the smaller ones, you need to be on the go, keeping out the way. But Rogic can go up against people and turn, and he's got this power. So I think Rogic has played very well and done some extraordinary things in the last couple of games.
John, it's interesting. Gordon makes the point about the two strikers and Edouard liking a partner. Obviously, a lot of teams don't do it because they fear they give up control in the middle of the park. And obviously, the diamond can help with that. But again, as a layman, I understand it's knackering, isn't it, to play a diamond? You need ultra fit players, and you can't keep doing it, which maybe explains the game against Rangers. They were terrific, Celtic, for the hour, but maybe couldn't sustain it for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, but I think up in Scotland, Celtic and Rangers have got better players than everybody else. So however they play, they should dominate possession. They're going to have all the ball. And secondly, regardless of whether they play a diamond in midfield or not, and you're talking about, maybe giving up the opposition, be it Rangers, the fullbacks opportunities to go. If they haven't got possession of the ball, it doesn't matter. Manchester City can play 7 attacking midfield players and no defensive midfield players, and you think how they're going to win the ball back. They don't have to because they keep the ball. So as long as you keep possession of the football, then it doesn't matter whether you play a diamond, 5 in midfield, 1 at the back, if you don't give the ball away. That's Man City's philosophy. And I think up in Scotland, Rangers and Celtic are 2 teams who can do that. So as to whether Edouard, and when you say 2 up front, listen, when people talk about 4-4-2 and 4-3-3, that is not a system, that's a formation. The system is the workings of it. Liverpool and Wimbledon both played 4-4-2, but we didn't play the same system. We played the same formation. Now, 2 up front, Beardsley and Rush. Beardsley was never up front. He would always drop off into a number 10 position. And Gordon's making the point that Edouard, as much as we now look at a number 10 as an attacking midfield player, a Grealish, a Maddison, a Foden, a number 10 would have been a Yari Littmanen, who is one of the front 2. A Peter Beardsley, he's one of the front 2. So regardless of whether you want to have a playmaker number 10 as one of the attacking 4 midfield players, or 4 midfield players, maybe even in a diamond, and your number 10 being off the number 9. Edouard, as Gordon says, likes that role. Bergkamp, as much as he played maybe he was a number 10, but he was one of a front 2.
But so, as John said, it's no set in stone. It's not set in stone where you play. I think the number 10 now, when somebody says number 10 playing between the lines, there's no playing. But if you look at Beardsley was the first one to come in after you. Midfield players, he went way back into midfield. So what you're seeing now of people going back, all you're asking the striker to go back and get in the deep midfield. Liverpool were doing that 30 years ago. It's nothing new. Beardsley went and done it. And from a good defensive shape, they would attack from a good defensive shape, Liverpool. Because the strikers never played up against the centre halves especially Beardsley, when they were defending. Beardsley come back, John would slip it to Beardsley would turn and send another one away. You go, oh, Jesus, why? Because the centre halves can't follow Beardsley in. And that's what you have to do when you're playing, say, 2 up front. As John said, it's not like Sutton and Shearer anymore. It's different. It's like yesterday it was Christie
and Edouard, and from what I'm getting, Gordon, Edouard likes to play in that role. Is that right? Edouard likes to play that role.
He likes to have the freedom and not to say, I'm playing there or playing there. He likes to go and play where he can play football. He's a footballer first, striker second, believe it or not. There's some people who just want to be strikers and some who have to keep away from the ball. Because he's loving the game, he wants to get dragged to that. And as I said to you, last time when they played with Griffiths, it wasn't a diamond. It was 3 at the back, 2 wide men. Right. And so that was the way they played then. So there's different ways of playing 2 men up front. You can actually play it with a different shape, but playing one winger and the other one. Look, France play it a different way. They have 2 strikers, Griezmann and Giroud. And Mbappe plays at one side, and the other midfield player comes tucked into one side. So you've still got 2 there, but a different shape. There's loads of ways you can play with 2 kind of guys up front. And I think that's what Celtic are at their best when they do that.
Even if you go back to Cole and York, when they go back to Cole and York at Manchester United, Andy Cole was the number 9 centre forward. Dwight York wasn't. Dwight York dropped off. I remember Dwight York scored more goals. Dwight York scored more goals than Andy Cole one season. But that doesn't mean that he's the centre forward number 9. He happened to have scored more goals. I scored more goals on Rushy one year when I was the top scorer. I was never a number 9. So the positions that you play, you have to know. And I think what Gordon is saying, which is right, Edouard, if he plays with a striker, and Lee Griffiths happy to be a striker. He's happy to score and not get a touch and not get involved. And if you have that situation, perfect, where you got someone who's a striker and you have an Edouard playing off him to come short, come deep, and do whatever he does. And I think that probably, I don't know, Gordon's closer to Celtic at this moment than I am. I don't know whether Celtic are going to do that between now and the rest of the season.
Again, well,
And
I put problems with this season. Where does it go with Edward after that? Does he stay? Because everybody wanted him to stay this year. Pay him as much as you want. Give him £300,000 a week as long as he stays. Then he stays. Why did we keep him? He's not playing very well, you know. So it's a strange dilemma that Celtic have got trying to build, but the dynamics are quite strange at the moment because we really don't know where Celtic are going in terms of players as well. Because there's a few players whose maybe contracts up who are maybe looking to go somewhere else. So it's not an easy time to manage Celtic or even run Celtic Football Club at the moment.
No,
matter of fact, they've created their own monster by having players coming along and getting better, and top teams want them.
Yeah. Well, the comment from the chairman, Gordon, that basically we're not going to be making any drastic decisions, we're not going to jump to any conclusions. Was that just a kind of gentle vote of confidence in Neil and the status quo, at least until the summer, and then they'll assess? I wasn't quite sure what to make of it.
Well, I think like good businessmen, it's very hard to make decisions when it's manic all around you. I think you've got to wait till it calms down and go. It's like a manager making decisions. Can you stay calm? Well, who do you put on? There's 60,000 people calling you a name, and what players is it? Can you see things that are different? And can you just get this quiet moment of reflection where your coaching staff, you go, what do you think? You know, what do you think, Tommy? What do you think, Gary? And it's great when they come in and go, I've not got a clue. Brilliant. What do I do? I've not got a clue either. So, I think it's a club that's never panicked, and it's a club led by Dermot, who is not a daft person whatsoever. It's amazing why his businesses are so good. He doesn't listen to what, even talking about finances. I'm talking about the financial thing in the Sky News. If everybody, he doesn't go, oh geez, I better sell some businesses because Tom blogs for some company and tucked away in London is telling me the whole world's got to collapse. He just goes, wait a minute, I've got an idea what's going on here. I've been in this a long time. And they take their time to make that decision. What the only decision that's really been made is Peter will be standing down. Peter Law will be standing down. And that's it's unfortunate he's gone at this time, because I don't think people realise, and when Peter joined the club, there were £36 million in debt. You know, so that's a big turnover and 29 trophies and all the rest there. So it's done very well, but I think the club's been really well run. There's times when you make bad decisions. John and myself have made bad decisions as managers. When I think back and go, maybe. But then again, if John will say, maybe I should have played that one or played this one, how does he know that was got to be any better?
Sure. Could have been worse.
Exactly. I have a decision to make. I'm standing there at, in Scotland, England game. Well, to put another centre half on here. Right. No, I won't. We're okay. But I don't want them coming forward. I want to keep people there. And after the game, you go, oh, maybe I should have. But it might not have worked out that way. I don't know.
I think Celtic
sometimes you have to make
now.
Sometimes you don't have to make a decision.
Yeah. I think Celtic are doing the right thing now, because if you look at what Chelsea did, when Chelsea still felt, rightly or wrongly, we can still be in the top four. We make a change now. We don't know whether that's going to guarantee it, but Celtic making a change from Christmas up until the end of the season, in my opinion, isn't going to help them to catch Rangers. So why do that when a new manager comes in? Things aren't necessarily going to improve. Because Celtic have won the last 4 games. They're going to go on to win matches. Whereas at the end of the season, if all of a sudden Celtic go on a run, as I'm sure they can, Rangers drop a few points, not to say Celtic will catch them, but Celtic go on and win every game between now and the end of the season and lose the league by 4 points. Keep Neil Lennon. Keep that momentum going. So why make a decision now whereby a new manager coming in now isn't going to win the league? So what's the point of doing that? Had they been 6 points behind Rangers and things weren't going well and they thought, let's make a change to catch Rangers, yeah. But at this moment in time, or even up until Christmas, I don't see any value at all in making a decision to change the manager.
Thank you, gents. I look forward to more philosophy and snapshot judgment very shortly.